for Rotary.
I'll have a link on these so they can hear. And I'm like, the chapel's super small.
August 8th.
It's not loud.
Yeah.
So we can like, but I'm like,
So does that mean you can't do it?
17th.
I'm gonna have to be like,
Well, we would go the weekend before. Her birthday, that's a Monday. No, that's a Saturday. Oh, I don't know.
is he on? No. Oh. Did she text you? Let me just start.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am going to call the meeting to order as we stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for being here. Before we start with citizen comments, we do have 2 recommendations for hire, and the first I will have come up is Mr. Armour at the high school.
Good evening. So I'm enthusiastically recommending for your approval the employment of Miss Sydney Sakaluskis for our teaching position at the high school. Her 26-27 assignment will be Spanish teacher at Williamston High School. Sydney currently just graduated this last weekend from Eastern Michigan University. She's going to have a major in Spanish and a minor in psychology, which might be nice for some elective classes up with us. Professionally, Sydney recently concluded her student teaching at Howell High School. Previously, she conducted observation hours at Fenton and South Lyon High Schools. She also has experience studying abroad in Costa Rica. When talking with Sydney's mentor teacher, she said that Sydney was a phenomenal student teacher who was very hardworking and creative with her lessons. She went on to say that Sydney was also great at connecting with students and building relationships during the time that she was at Howell. Sydney's mentor teacher stated that her lessons were top-notch. She was organized daily, very prepared, and very competent in the language. During our interview process, Sydney did teach a short lesson in front of students, and we observed exceptional classroom presence, strong student engagement, and a very well-organized lesson and slide deck. What we saw is what you would typically see from teachers with years of experience and not someone coming out from student teaching. Finally, Sydney's mentor teacher said that she has charisma and creativity to be a great teacher, and she really wished that they had an opening at Howell so that they could hire her. Our WHS hiring committee unanimously selected Sydney for our open Spanish position, and we are excited to have her join the Hornet family next year. I highly recommend the Williamston Board of Education hire Miss Sydney Sakaluskis for our open Spanish position.
Nice.
Any questions? All right, we do have 2 recommendations for hire, but I would like to take them separately. So can I get a motion to approve Miss Sydney Sakaluskis to be a teacher beginning of the 2026-27 school year?
Make a motion that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Miss Sydney Sakaluskis to be a teacher beginning with the 2026-2027 school.
Second.
Motion by Chris, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Thank you. We'll come around. We usually shake hands and stuff, so we'll come around after our next recommendation for hire. Great. Thank you so much. All right, next we have Dr. Spina.
Good evening, board members. It is my privilege to recommend Mr. Adam Swipinowski as principal for Williamston Middle School. In your packet, there is kind of a detailed breakdown of the hiring process and the various committees and committee members that were involved in the process. As always, with an administrative hire, we like to bring in a wide variety of perspectives to make sure that we're getting a full picture of the candidates and feedback from all those different viewpoints that make up the various stakeholders in the community. So I think we did that on this particular process, and Adam was resoundingly the top candidate throughout the process for all participants on the panels. It's always easier to introduce an internal candidate because in this case we know Adam, but I do want to make sure that I point out a few things. In Williamston, one of the tenets for success for any building level administrator, really any administrator in general, is to be visible and present and to be able to develop relationships with all stakeholders. And at these two elements, Adam excels. If you have been to pretty much any Williamston secondary event, high school or middle school, over his 4 years of tenure as an assistant principal at the middle school, Adam is at all of those things. Even ones he doesn't need to be at, he's just there because he's a member of the community and he's there to support and assist in any way that he can. At track last Thursday, it was cold, it was raining, and Adam was out there doing measurements for shot put. Didn't need to be there, and certainly didn't need to be volunteering, but he was there, and that goes for middle school sports, it goes for middle school choir concerts, band concerts. He's there. One of the things that's really impressed me, again, through, you could say, this 4-year job interview that essentially Adam's had, is the almost unanimous opinion of all stakeholders. And this is hard to do when you're an administrator. And his ability to develop meaningful relationships, even in difficult circumstances, and sometimes having tough conversations with students and other stakeholders. Adam excels at that, and those relationships lead to a lot of positive things, both for the school, the staff, and most importantly for our students. Adam's also had the opportunity to be well-versed in all the different initiatives and priority areas from the district and the middle school, and will be able to step into making meaningful decisions and effective leadership from day one, which keeps that building, which is an extremely progressive building, educationally speaking, at a running speed, which is what they're accustomed to there. And again, Adam's going to be able to jump right in and continue to lead that building according to the standards that they're used to. So, again, we know Adam, but I wanted to make sure that I pointed out some of those really important attributes that he brings to the table, and I think will bode well pending your vote this evening as our next principal of Williamston Middle School. So with that, I'll turn it over to Adam for any comments he might like to make for the board.
I'll keep it short. Thank you for the kind words. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to serve the community as the next principal of the middle school, and I look forward to working with the staff to continue to move this building forward in a positive direction. So,
Can I get a motion to recommend hire for the school principal, Adam Supanowski?
I move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Mr. Adam Supanowski to be the Williamston Middle School principal starting with the 2026-2027 school year.
Second. Can we have discussion? I'm sure that
Is there
probably
any
just drops some
discussion?
stomachs. I have sat on this board a long time, and I was trying to count how many administrative positions that we have approved in the last 10, 12 years, and it's like 9, 10, 11, something like that. I have never been accosted more to make sure we hire you from community members and a neighbor who has a middle school child, and or received, I don't recall receiving letters from families, I think before the job was even posted, to hire you. So I do want to give kudos where it's due. I do believe that's you. I also believe it's the culture of that building that Deb has set, and that staff, and the leadership from Adam. So I think this is, I think the community is relieved. I think they're excited for you to get started, and I think we've done a really good job here. And I say we, you all have done a really good job here.
thank you.
That's all my discussion.
Any other discussion?
I did get balloons for the first time ever.
Yeah.
The staff brought
Yeah, that was a
balloons.
first, so. that
The
was,
board is getting letters.
Yeah.
They were good letters. We don't
yeah,
always
they
get
were.
those, so.
They were.
And my middle schoolers approved too, so that's
Yeah.
saying
So-
something too. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. So excited. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. You'll have another one next year. Harper will be joining.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right, congratulations again to Adam and Sydney. But you're more than welcome to stay, but we know that it's been a long day, so you're welcome to leave whenever you need to. All right, this brings up the first part of citizen comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board that can come up to the podium at this time? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to celebrations. Board Adam.
All right, good evening again, board members. It has been a day, but I think mostly positive, although I did get booed at Explorers Club this morning over the fence at the Explorer construction site. So that was a first as well. Never been booed at Explorers Club, but told the kids, just hang in there. It's temporary. You'll get your space back here soon enough. First and foremost, I want to make sure that I know the board knows, but for anybody watching at home, that May is Educator Appreciation Month, and often in the busyness of the school year and all the things that we have to get our own children to and all the different events, sometimes that can get lost in terms of the immense amount of dedication and commitment that is atypical of the team in Williamston. It has been that way for a long, long time, something that I fell into when I started here, and it has just persisted, and it is just kind of the culture that we've established here. It has been here for decades and decades. So in recognition of Educator Appreciation Month, I just continue to encourage members of the community to reach out if you have your child's favorite bus driver, secretary, custodian, teacher, paraprofessional, etc. This is a great time to just say, a quick thanks, a quick email, saying hi in the hallways and thanking them for what they do. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Although I will say, we've had many members of our community already this month really go above and beyond to make sure they're recognizing our educators, which is also extremely appreciated. I know the board this week is sponsoring lunches for the staff across the district, and got those stadium blankets for everybody, which are in the process of getting distributed. Probably can still be used based on the weather. Not so much today, but the rest of the week doesn't look too warm. So those are very nice gestures by the board, and I know will be greatly appreciated. But I just want to make sure we start this meeting with an acknowledgement of the phenomenal team that we have here in Williamston across the board and all their many contributions. I can segue into some of those celebrations that have been made possible by our team. First, I want to just recognize today that we did do the ribbon cutting for Explorer Elementary. I really appreciate all the board members being at that. It was a short ceremony, but hopefully a symbolic one. And we'll get a story published and maybe even a press release put together once we get some photographs of the event today. So definitely want to highlight that. More to follow accordingly. Last week, we were able to finally, on the third try, do the ribbon cutting for the softball field, and we do have a story that was posted today on the website with some pictures and highlights of that. This was, again, I know I've mentioned it before, completed 2 years ahead of schedule. This was not supposed to be finished until the summer of 2028. And now the girls have their brand new facility available to them that they're already using. Some of the details are posted on the story in terms of what it includes, but some of the highlights would be new home and away dugouts, the second story coaches box / press box, depending on how you want to look at it. There's a concession building that includes extra storage and restrooms, which are very, very nice across the board. New drainage and a new infield playing surface, And that just kind of hits some of the other highlights we've done for the complex over the last couple of years, including the new scoreboard that was put in, I think, 2 years ago. So this will now be just on par with all of our other athletic facilities. Probably the best softball complex in this region or in our area. And again, keeping pace with our new tennis courts and then all the other athletic facilities that we've had. As the board might recall, Williamston ranks 28th for best school district for student athletes in the state of Michigan, which is pretty impressive considering I think there's like 600 something school districts. That is not what we do. Obviously, we're in the education business, but being able to provide our students first-class athletic facilities and all our facilities in general just adds to the overall experience that our students have here. So thank you to the community, again, for the support with this project, and we'll get some publicity out on this soon so that community members might go visit and take a look and see what their tax dollars were able to achieve for our softball players, both high school and youth sports. The last month has been really big for our arts programs, and have been really fortunate to attend a number of just outstanding arts presentations. Not featured on the website, but definitely worth acknowledging would be the elementary choir and art club presentation from a few weeks ago, which was fantastic, and a lot of that artwork was then moved forward to the Arts Fest, which I'll talk about here in just a second. Last Thursday after school was also the Elementary Art Show, which is kind of a one-person show put on by Angie Herrick. And if you kind of look at all the artwork she's put out, I mean, I would say probably thousands of pieces of artwork when you combine it over multiple pieces of art from every elementary classroom throughout the year. It's just extremely impressive, and basically covered all of Explore Elementary. And had a really great turnout. It was really cool to see that many community members and some of our service organizations as well being present for that. A larger presentation was the Arts Festival, which is always one of our highlights, one of the most widely attended events that we'll do all year. So we have pictures of that as well up on the website. We estimate roughly 1,000 people will attend the actual arts presentation that evening, and then more people come in throughout the rest of the week to view the art show in the auxiliary gymnasium. One of the cool features this year was we were able to get media out there to cover it, and Schools Rule on WILX came out and interviewed, I think, 5 or 6 students the week prior, and then posted previews of the Arts Fest throughout the weekend, highlighting the shows and the student artwork. We had I think maybe three of our teachers were interviewed as part of that as well, and we were able to provide background on the show and some context about its importance. Just a really fun evening. This year, I think some of the administrators got to participate, which was also interesting. But great music, great artwork, and just a lot of fun in general. So kudos to our visual and performing arts programs for putting that on. One other highlight not featured on the website, but we did get a photograph and caption out of on it in our last newsletter last week, was Mousetrap, which was put on by the theater production class at the high school. Had an opportunity to go see that last weekend, I believe it was, or 2 weekends ago now. And a very small group of students put on a very good show, outstanding set, and it was quite the accomplishment to pull that off. So congratulations to all involved in putting that on, and as well as our students in the theater production class at the high school. This is the time of year where there's a lot going on and a lot of celebrations, so I always kind of give the caveat, I'm going to miss some things. If I miss it here, we'll catch up to it in either our newsletters or future board meetings, but trying to stay on top of all the great accomplishments from our students, and as I mentioned already, all the many, many contributions of our staff as we hit the home stretch here of the school year. So I'll stop there and be happy to address any questions the board might have.
I just want to say that yes, this is the busiest time. So much is being done in the classrooms, outside of the classrooms. But like Adam said, it is Teacher Appreciation Week this week. And as you recall, if you were able to attend any or all of the planned luncheons for our staff, tomorrow is the elementary school
have it written down. I don't.
Yes.
I-
Yes,
so-
tomorrow's
The
11th.
early-
I always have it, yes, that is
The early one is middle school, right?
Middle
Don't they
school
eat like at,
is actually at 12:30, I think.
I think Betsy sent out a
Yeah.
She
updated
did.
email
An
last
updated
week
one.
with the
She did.
times.
The elementary
There were
school
some
is always the
changes.
longest one.
Yes.
So again, if you can just stop by for a couple minutes, if you can't at all, like we completely understand, and so does our staff. And I just wanna say that I've already had staff members reach out to me thanking the board for their,
gifts?
blankets that the board did give out. So yes, they're getting distributed, so staff, if you're watching this and haven't got yours yet, the stadium blankets, they will be coming to you eventually. They're very nice, they're very warm.
They're nice.
Yes. Any other questions? All right, Dr. Doe will be joining us for the high school handbook and educational updates. Good evening.
Good evening. Educational updates first.
Sure.
A little piece of advice with Adam Supanowski. I learned this a few years ago. Now you have two Adam S's. Spina comes first, so when you're putting together that group text chain, look, because it gets confusing. All right, so yes, I'm here to present the educational update for this past school year. In this presentation, I'm going to be covering highlights from the school year for WHS. I'm going to start with our common grading policy implementation. I'm going to be looking at professional development that was offered, and I'm going to look ahead to next year. Highlights to start. These are probably things that have already been highlighted to the board throughout the year, but when we look at our attendance rates, we do have the lowest chronic absenteeism rate in Ingham County compared to other districts. This is a big feather in our cap, and all of us at the building level, central office, we attend ISD meetings, and chronic absenteeism is a regular topic of discussion, and we just kind of have to slink down in our seats. Not to say there aren't things we can learn and improve upon, but we're very, very proud of our attendance rates, and it's not really close when you look at second place. So it is definitely something that we're proud of. I think it speaks to the quality of education our students are receiving at the high school, the relationships they have with the staff, the personal investment the staff makes, obviously the quality of our community, and what our parents and larger community members invest into the school as well, but definitely worth highlighting. Additionally, graduation rate last year 97%, and that's roughly where we've been for almost the last decade. Again, highest graduation rate in Ingham County. We also, for, I don't know, maybe the 5th or 6th year in a row, we're the best high school, one of the best high schools in the country according to U.S. News and World Report. And we got the AP Honor Roll Silver Award for the 2nd year in a row, and I believe only the 3rd time in the history of the school. So going above the Bronze Award is definitely something we're very, very proud of. One of the big highlights this year when we look at practice within the building, after about 5 years, we finally were able to put all of our grading components together as the official grading policy of the high school, and we implemented that at the beginning of the school year. Here we have a bulleted list of the 6 major grading components when they were developed. As you probably recall, we implemented these individually along the lines as they were approved, but this was the first year they all went together. So, seeing that work after 5 years of hard work to get to this point was good and appreciated, and seeing that hard work pay off. This is a living grading policy. It's something that we're continuing to assess. For example, you'll see in my handbook update the recommendation to change the language as far as missing assessments. That language was updated to be in line with the summative assessment and retake language, so that if it was missing versus a retake, there was discrepancy between that language. So we wanted to tighten that up. That was something that was confusing for students. It was confusing for teachers. So this was a change that we implemented going into the 2nd semester. So this was something that was identified right away. if I had to bet, there will be additional things moving forward as we settle in over the next couple of years with this policy. But just an example of it's implemented, but we're not just calling it good and walking away. It's something that we're continuing to assess in real time.
Okay, do you want us to ask questions as you're going
Sure.
along or at the end? So I just want to make sure I'm understanding this change. So if a student is taking a test and misses it, is absent that day, or wants to retake it, they have 10 days from.
Correct.
So if a student, say a test is on a Monday, and a student has missed it, doesn't want to retake it, is out sick, does the 10 days start on Monday, say they come back on Friday, then they only have 5 days?
We
or
would
does-
give them 10 days from their return.
From whatever it is, so
Yeah,
they have
so
10 days to do.
it coincides with our attendance policy. So the attendance policy says, the length of time students
have
are
10
out, they
days,
have
so-
that time. So,
Okay.
I mean, it is an example of kind of multiple policies intertwined, working
Trying
together.
But you have 10 days to
Yes.
get it together. Nice.
Any other questions on the grading policy? When we looked at the first semester data, there really is no easy way to pull quickly identifiable data sets, data points from the cumulative student grades listed in PowerSchool. So I'm sorry that doesn't look quite right. I don't know, it was all right when I sent the slide, but what's happened is we've identified a core class, so physics of earth and space in 9th grade, algebra 1 in 10th grade, civics in 11th grade, and English 12A in 12th grade, starting from the left, moving to the right, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. I don't know why that is not
It
formatted
looks right in
correctly.
the board book.
Does it?
Yes,
Okay.
they see it. I think it
Okay.
might have just been a conversion thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we have it, yes.
So in working within the high school, talking with James, trying to find some easy pulls out of PowerSchool, that doesn't really exist. So what we did is we went back, we chose 4 core classes across the 4 grade levels. We looked at first semester grades for these classes last year. We also then looked at the first semester grades from this year to see if there were any major discrepancies or not. We are not seeing a ton of discrepancy. Obviously, every class is different, every class is unique. You see that with standardized test scores. They go up, they go down. The number of students in the class matters. It's just, it's not apples to apples, but this was as close as we could come up with as a way to kind of compare how was it done the old way, how was it done the new way. And with that, last year, almost all of the grading policy was in place, except the 2 formative and summative categories with weights. So students last year were already working with retakes, that sort of thing. So there was one more component added, but students and teachers over the last 5 years have slowly gotten used to this policy. The other reason we did it that way, we thought adapting 1 or 2 components a year would be much easier to become familiar with rather than figuring out this entire policy and throwing in at it at one time. So we're not seeing a lot of differentiation between the 2 years, but again, the majority of the policy has been in place, so.
I'm guessing NC means no credit.
Correct.
Could you just give me an example of what that would be? Like why a student would not get credit?
So we offer the opportunity in the first half of the semester, the first 9 weeks, if students are worried about their grade, we do offer the opportunity to move to a credit, no credit track. So this is not something we let students do once they see their final semester grade. It's something that's offered, kind of unique situations. Students are struggling for one reason or another. Sometimes that's personal matters. It's basically an opportunity for students to move to a grading track where their GPA really isn't at risk because the credit and the no credit, either way, is not going to impact their GPA. It takes a little bit of that pressure off. They only have to hit 60% to earn the class. Like you see with physics there, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it's just something that was put in place maybe 6 or 7 years ago, so that those students, again, who fall behind for whatever reason, don't feel like they can't dig themselves out of that hole. You get down to 50 or 55%, and that can look pretty daunting, and you end up with a D-, and that can be deflating. So if you kind of change the lens a little bit and just, let's focus on passing the class, maybe focus on your grades with these other classes. It's not something we would allow across the board, all 6 classes. Again, it's case by case, but
Okay.
just to take some of the pressure off from the actual letter grades.
Thank you. Nice.
Other questions here? Okay, professional development this year. One piece of it was assessing the grading policy and like the previous example, coming up with the change that was made at the semester. Another big focus we had was looking at supporting our staff. We've spent several years on our SEL work looking at students, and we just felt like it was important to recognize that teachers and ancillary staff and support staff are people too, and how can we support them in a job that is experiencing a lot of burnout and turnover. So we did a book study. The first one was Overcoming Burnout and Compassion Fatigue in Schools. That's something we looked at the first semester. And then the second one was the Let Them Theory, which is a book about, instead of being so reactive, we're taking control now, right? Instead of worrying about what other people might do, all of these things we can't control, but we devote a lot of the time and energy into those worries, which can be a huge emotional drain, recognizing that there are uncontrollables. And instead of worrying about that, focusing on yourself, and we will respond appropriately when somebody does something, but instead of worrying about a reaction, now we're choosing to respond. So it's just, teachers are working with a lot of different people every day, students and staff, sometimes, a couple hundred. So
Can you
again,
give an
just
example?
trying to offer that support. What's that?
Can you give an example of how that could be used?
So one example that's in the book, a quick little anecdote, the author, the way this came to her is her son was going to prom, and this sounds like a very intense helicopter parent, and they were all together taking pictures, and she found out that they didn't have dinner reservations, and she knew what her prom experience was like, and she wanted her child to have that same experience, and she freaked out, and she started calling all of these fine dining establishments trying to get them reservations, and the son's like, no, we just want to go to the taco truck, and mom's like, you can't go to the taco truck for prom. And basically the daughter, who was in college, she said, just let them. And that's where this came from. Like, it's their life, it's their prom. If they want to go to the taco truck and they're happy, that's not for you to worry about, right? So we have all of these things, and I know that's an outside example. We have all these outside things that, what if it's not perfect? What if it's not the way I would do it? What if it's not the way I want it done? You have to let people do it their way, live their lives. Hopefully that's a positive thing, maybe not the way you would do it. Sometimes they make choices that aren't so positive, and again, we will respond to them, but instead of worrying about how am I going to react when this happens, stop assuming it's going to happen, right? So in schools, maybe that's worrying about how a student is going to come into class and they're upset about a grade that they got on a test. Well, you're making an assumption that's going to be a negative conversation, right? Let's see how it actually goes and respond to the situation. So again, stop worrying so much about what might happen or what people might do, and respond once it actually does happen. Take that energy and time that you're putting into worrying about the what ifs and focus on what's really happening instead. So,
Deb, I read the book. It's by Mel Robbins.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's from Michigan.
yeah, you can grab it at the library too.
All right, so looking ahead, 26-27 school year, recognize that one of our big goals with the board and the high school, the individual and customizable learning opportunities, right? This continues to be something that evolves every single year. When you look at the students that are signed up for dual enrollment next year, we're up 22 from the current school year. Ferris is down 1 student, so basically a wash. Wilson Talent Center is up 7, and I do have to say and give credit to the counseling staff and the talent center staff. It was only a couple years ago we were like in the high 40s or 50, and the Wilson Talent Center is an amazing opportunity. We take the entire sophomore class out there now, and the numbers are pretty impressive. So they're up next year. Michigan Virtual is up 21 students, and work-based learning is up 2 students as well. So, you know, students being able to choose their path as they work through high school, especially the upper half of their high school career when they get through some of those underclassmen basic required courses, you know, I think the numbers speak for themselves. That's something we're focused on and allowing to happen.
That's a question. I know earlier we talked about, I asked you questions about the state requirements in regards to dual enrollment and how that aligns with Ferris. Is there any new education that's happening with parents to make sure that they're aware of kind of how that all plays, so that their students don't get stuck?
So it's going to be included in the handbook. You'll see that in the handbook update. It is on the paperwork that goes home. It's something that we can hammer a little bit harder when we are going to our 8th grade orientation and verbally saying that. So it is written in multiple places. It's verbally stated to the students when the counselors talk to the kids. But in that parent letter that goes home at the same time we start scheduling, that chart is going to need to go in there as well.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? Another big initiative, and kind of as we've wrapped up our grading work, right? And again, that's still a living policy, but it's not going to take nearly as much time. A big piece of improvement work is going to be shifting into this global scholars work, and this is something that started last year. Mrs. Ann Wade, one of our social studies teacher, was accepted as a Fulbright teacher in the Global Teacher Classroom program. She spent an entire year working within a cohort, had to produce multiple pieces of work. This was almost like getting a master's degree, that level of intensity, and being selected for the program is pretty prestigious. You know, a couple hundred teachers across the entire country. There's a lot of people not being accepted. At the beginning of this year, she presented about her experiences, what she learned last year, her experience traveling to India for several weeks and being immersed in schools there and just getting, you know, a feel for what scholarship looks like outside of not only our community and state and country, but really, you know, on another continent, on the other side of the world. She presented this to the staff, presented the idea of looking at a potential Global Scholars program, incorporating some global scholarship elements into courses that I don't know if they would be true honors courses, but it would kind of be in that same vein in the social sciences, where English and social studies, we could really take a few of those classes to the next level if students so choose. So this would be optional for kids. It would culminate in a capstone course that they would take most likely their senior year, maybe their junior year if they were really advanced. This is something the staff was really excited about, and not only that program, but also looking at how can we push some of this global scholarship with what's already in existence in our curriculum. So for example, if a science class is looking at something regarding water, right? Water purity, something like that, pollution, that's what that looks like here. What does it look like in our community, right? But what does it look like in this other country? Because we have students who are going to go on and solve problems that can impact us at the local level, the national level, the international level. So giving students that lens that the world is becoming smaller and smaller, and what we can do here can have a impact on others as well. And this was something that our staff was pretty excited about. There's been some conversation about starting to develop this capstone course and kind of backwards planning. The nitty-gritty of that hasn't started to take place, but it is something that's definitely going to gain some traction next year. And we have several teachers who have volunteered to be on a subcommittee or kind of guiding committee for this work. So this is going to be a big school improvement initiative that will probably take a few years to put in place.
So this is something that we've talked about ad nauseum over a decade, about how to create a parallel program that mirrors in some ways the Math and Science Academy approach for the humanities. So this is an interesting opportunity that because of Ann's leadership and interest, we're jumping on as a possible option to create that system within the high school. It's got a long way to go. We had a donation that we utilized to help fund a consultant who's coming in to work with Ann, who has built these classes in other school districts, and we'll be able to kind of help guide her and other interested faculty members at the high school through this. So this is a really interesting approach to something that we've long strived to achieve, but it's coming out of this grassroots initiative, which I think will be very powerful in terms of generating buy-in. We have the consultant with the expertise supporting it, and obviously it was funded not using general fund dollars. So a lot of things have lined up positively so far, and as Steve alluded to, we have that knowledgeable, productive global citizens line in our mission statement, and so this is in direct alignment with the goals that we aspire to have our students graduate with from Williamston High School. So a lot of potential here, but also a long way to go.
Another initiative that is a ways out and still kind of in the brainstorming phases, always looking for ways that we can support our students, you know, academically, socially, behaviorally. And I think one of the things that we're missing out on is some of our tier 2, right? We have our tier 3 that covers everybody. We have our AOT, we have our AOT SEL work, we have our tier 1 for you know, students who need that one-on-one with some of our academic resource lab classes. The tier 2 is, you know, how do we dial in on an identified smaller group of students, right, that might not be to the point where they need daily one-on-one support, but they need a little bit more than they're currently getting. I'm actually going to bring Mr. Armour up to talk about this, because this plan is something that he and our RTI team, he can explain that a little bit, have been talking about the last couple of months, and like I said, kind of brainstorming what this might start to look like. But this is not something that will be in place for the start of the school year. It says for implementation next year. Maybe we could get to that point where we're piloting the second semester, but there are a lot of things that we need to figure out, so it will not be in place for day one, but we're looking longer down the road.
So as Dr. Delp was saying, we're just really looking for a way. Our RTI team, probably the core group's been there for the last couple of years, and every year we struggle with how do we really help some of these kids that are really struggling with 2, 3, 4 failing classes for a majority of the semester. And everyone has unique situations. Sometimes they're not able to go to Saturday schools because they're working or they're watching family members. Sometimes they can't stay after school for homework labs because they, again, same thing, their transportation, they literally can't stay here, or they're in charge of family members. Some have to have jobs. And so Kate Wilcox and I, the last 2 years, have gone to the ISD for some MTSS planning sessions, problem solving, look at our school data on that. And Okemos actually brought this up as a big just county brainstorm, like how can we help? And every school district is struggling with how do we help some of this small group of kids. And this plan is not strictly what they're doing, but in the fall when they brought up this idea of an intervention day, we came back to our team, was like, all right, do we think this could potentially work? So we brainstormed a couple options, a couple we threw out saying that probably wouldn't work, and this is one that we felt maybe could have some legs if we could get it to work. And so the core idea basically is once a month, We would have maybe 10 to 15 students in a small location where we would have very targeted guided support with floating staff members. So myself, social worker, psychologist, potential parapros if they have like some floating hours where they could provide some of that guidance to students that might not be academic per se, but just that, hey, how are we a student? Let's organize our bag. How do we get started? How do we get into Google Classroom? Because the teacher has 32 kids in their class, it's hard for them to necessarily do all that and teach some of these students or get them going. The other idea is that if staff are available and willing on planning periods to potentially fill in for some of the academic specific stuff, we could have a math teacher come in maybe 1 or 2 hours of the day to provide that to that specific student. So there's a lot of things that we have to kind of figure out how it is going to work, but we think that we just need something for this group of kids. We had a planning meeting where we invited staff to come. We did have a staff member come to provide some feedback. Well, we took that to heart, and we also got some questions afterwards, that we looked at and are planning through with some of their concerns or how it would look. So at the end of the day, we feel like we need something. If we don't get it going by October, then maybe it's January, and if it doesn't look like it's going to be successful, then it might not start, and we'll go on to the next thing. But the ultimate goal at the bottom is we think it's academic support for students that really need it, but also relationship building, because some of these students, if you look at the failure list, they might be the same kids that you see walking in the building that don't really have the connection with staff members or the connection with peers, and this might give an opportunity to build that connection with them to help them be successful. And then the executive functioning, just how are we going to be a successful student when we go back to that class of 30 or 32 kids. So I know it's pretty general. We don't really have any
It's
specifics yet, but it's something that we're trying to figure out.
Nice.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Questions?
I just wonder if that would be enough. It doesn't sound like once a month, if they're struggling every day.
It's a starting spot. So I think it'd be one of those things, baby steps, build it from the ground up. There is concern if it's happening during the school day. Obviously, one of the big discussion points is if we do it during the school day, we're taking these kids out of academic classes to do this, right? So what's the trade-off? If these kids are already struggling in this class, is it really worth taking them out of that class to do these other things? This probably would not be an all-day thing for these students, right? So like identified hours where, hey, I'm doing okay in this class, so I can afford to miss a day to go do this work, and maybe I'm there first, fourth, fifth. Maybe I'm only there 1 hour. Maybe we have students there multiple hours. So one of the things we have to figure out is how do we support kids who are already struggling in class and support them if that means taking them out of class, right? So like Chris said, transportation is an issue. So we don't always have after school. We don't always have Saturday school. So working within the constraints and finding that balance, right, of taking them out of class, where are we going to get the greater value? Class or a program like this, but starting once a month, again, it's still like in the brainstorming phase, and that was where we just kind of landed, like if we are going to start this, what would we want to look at initially? Other questions? Okay. I don't know. Handbook updates. Just 3 this year. The first one is, as I was talking with Dr. Lewis about the grid going into the handbook that shows what's allowed per grade level is defined by the state when it comes to dual enrollment classes, the number a student can take each year in total for their high school career. So just trying to promote this information a little bit more. Like I said, this is already on the dual enrollment handout that the students and the parents have to sign, but obviously we know people don't read every form they get, so the more places we can put it, the better. And then also noting that concurrent enrollment courses, and currently we only have 2 Ferris State concurrent enrollment courses, those do not count towards the 10. So the stance is that current enrollment and dual enrollment, because current enrollment is offered in-house by our teacher, Mr. Herrick. It's not online, virtually being taught by an outside teacher or professor. So we see them as 2 different things, even though kids are earning college credit for both. The delivery method is very different. So we are not counting the concurrent enrollment as one of the 10. So the state says capped at 10. If the student's IDP shows that you know, their abilities to go over, that's where the student's 11th would come in. Their IDP would show that that would be appropriate. So language showing or stating that the concurrent enrollment does not count towards the 10 is included. Questions on that? The second one was what was up on the screen for the educational update, is just lining up the language with missing assignments, missing summatives with retakes, so they're both at 10 days. And then the last one, just putting a statement in there. So we have a lot of activities that the school offers to students. The expectation is stated, it's pretty general: maintain an adequate academic attendance and disciplinary record in the regular school program. Just to define that a little bit more, a statement that says in order to participate in some of these extracurricular activities or trips, students must follow the same eligibility requirements set forth for student athletes. So that's set forth by the state. If you're failing 3, it's internal if you're failing 1 or 2. But because bullet point 5 is so general, this will give staff and administration a little bit of guidance, and it also provides clarity to students and their parents. So those are the only 3 updates this year. Any questions on those?
I don't know if it's a question. Yeah. The last one, that students must follow the same eligibility requirements set forth for student athletes. I know at the middle school that there, and you've also noted that there can be time in between when an assessment is given. If they don't do well in that assessment, then there's some period of in between where that student isn't eligible for it. Sometimes it can be a long period of time between assessments. And I don't know the answer, but I know that middle school is also struggling with this. What do teachers do to support that student that is falling ineligible during that period?
So actually, Mr. Paulson is going to talk exactly about this.
Yeah, I looked ahead, yeah.
So I'm going to kind of leave it
Okay.
for him to explain.
Yeah.
But based on the grading policy, right, going into
Yes.
place, one of the things that was quickly identified is students are going to take that first summative at some point. This year, we quickly found out during the first semester that a 5-point summative went into the book. Summative categories are weighted at 70%. So you have a 5-point summative weighing at 70% of the grade. We've identified summatives are anything that are measuring standards. That's how we've kind of differentiated with staff. Is this measuring a standard or not? Is this preparing students, you know, to be assessed on standards? So you could have a quiz, I'm going to call it a quiz, a 5-point assessment that's measuring one standard. The student takes it the 3rd week of school. If they get a 2 out of 5, that's 40%. So now they've got a 40% weighing 70% of their cumulative grade. That's a problem, right? Because it could be a couple weeks until the student takes the next summative. Or if you're in math, you know, you might take the Unit 1 summative. It could be 3 or 4 or 5 weeks till you take the Unit 2 summative. By the end of the semester, it's all balanced out. But the first half of the semester, where there's a lot fewer grades, so those individual summatives carry a lot more weight, that's a problem. That was something we identified right away. We're hoping that the policy we're gonna put before you this evening finds that balance, right, of still having high expectations for our students, but also giving them the time and teachers the time to work with the students in grade so that we don't have a 5-point quiz holding somebody back for weeks, because we just don't think that's right. That's not the intent of the grading policy. So for it to have a negative impact with students participating in these extracurricular activities, again, it's just not right. So we're gonna propose something that hopefully addresses that.
Yeah, so I also wonder though, and this is more for the high school because it talks about dual enrollment. How do you check in to see those students that are in dual enrollment courses to see if they are passing their courses?
We don't.
So
So they're
a student
taking-
could be taking a class at LCC and they could be failing the whole semester and you just don't know?
Correct.
But does that dual enrollment course go towards their core classes? So you have to be passing all of your, according to this, they have to be passing all of their classes. So wouldn't that class be all of their classes?
When we have dual enrollment courses, when we have Michigan virtual courses, when we outsource to outside organizations and institutions, we lose control in the sense that we don't have control over the curriculum, we don't have control over the instructors or the teachers, we don't have control of the grades. So it is something that we lose. Where the accountability comes in is at the end of the semester. So you might have gotten away with it this semester, but the grading policy, if you fail, is pretty harsh and long-term through the next semester. So it might not be in real time like our in-seat classes, week by week, but the accountability piece is gonna come at the end of the semester. And with these, you know, partnering with these outside organizations, there is some give and take. Is it ideal? No, but again, we don't have control over the curriculum, we don't have control over the instructor, and we don't see their grade like LCC, Michigan State. They send us the final report card, that's what we get. So, yep, you do take a little bit of risk and there is some loss by outsourcing, but that's kind of where the high school customizable experience comes in. Students just need to understand what's at risk is not being ineligible for a week or two. If you fail, you're looking at a semester.
But if
So
they're in their senior year, spring semester,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a dual enrollment class and they fail spring semester, LCC gets done right now. MSU gets done right now.
But we're going into,
But so that they would be.
we're going into the state tournament.
But-
So guess what they're gonna
Okay, so that's
miss?
the clarification, because you're saying the next semester. Well, they don't have a next semester, so it would be the remainder of their high school. Got it, okay.
So, okay, I have a
Yes, sorry.
follow-up.
Go
So
ahead.
if we have someone took an LCC class and they play baseball and they also play football, if they failed that class and you got the grade today, then they're done playing baseball. Are they done, like, how long does that last? Are they done playing football until they make the class up? Like,
Most likely.
are they done for the year, or is it just by semester?
I'm gonna leave that to Mr. Paulson.
Okay.
But, I mean, you do get some weird case-by-case situations, right? And honestly, I don't know that that's something we dealt with. The potential is there that this could happen, and we
Right.
would have to
This-
work
I mean,
through it. But
just
I
made me
think
like,
it's just, it's one of those things when we're dealing with 600 kids, there are so many individual unique situations that to just give a blanket coverall statement, it sometimes is case by case. But I will acknowledge all of these outside programs, I mean, we don't know how students are doing.
Well,
Just
we're
like
not
we
the
don't know what's
only
being,
district.
we don't know what their
Yeah.
curriculum is, right? I can't tell you what book they're reading right
Right.
now in an English lit class. So,
right, parent, you and the parent has to be on top of it.
Can I say,
So-
parents do get updates,
right, but the school doesn't.
right, but it
Yeah.
is at least.
There's
Students
something
can see their
parents-
portal,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
They, students
But I
can
think
see
it's
it.
important that the parents
Yeah.
get that too. 'Cause,
So,
parent checks.
so I want to go back to the 10-day test thing that I don't know what you said, but it flashed this question. So is there anything in place for a situation where you have a kid who is doing something and just didn't have time to study for that 5-point quiz? So they just went in and winged it and then thought, well, I'll study tomorrow and I'll take it. Like, I knew I didn't do well on Monday because I had whatever going on. So I'm gonna just wing it. No, I'm not gonna do well. And then I'm gonna just go back in and ask the teacher if I can take it on Wednesday. Like, is there like a,
Teachers have contracts in place, right, to be a little bit of a deterrent. So if you want to take the retake, there are steps students have to take in order to be able to take that retake. So depending on the teacher, the department, ensuring that all of your work is turned in, can't have any missing work, need to meet with that teacher one-on-one, or need to attend an AOT session. There are steps students need to take to avoid just the, I'm not gonna take this seriously, I'm gonna study tonight, I'll retake it
And I'll do it
tomorrow.
whenever I-
So, again, they're not in place specifically to be deterrents, right? To avoid that situation. Those things are in place to support kids and ensure that they're prepared to take the retake, because they're only gonna get one shot at it. So we want kids to make sure they're ready, but at the same time, because it's not just as easy as, hey, I wanna take that tomorrow.
There's
It
things
does
that-
give, it is extra work.
so, and then do you take, like the grade from the first test, grade from the second test and average them? Or
No.
does the second test replace
The
the
second
first?
test replaces. So we're measuring learning.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Your last educational update.
This
I
is
know.
it, this is it.
Congratulations
Yeah,
to
Thank
you.
you. One final reminder, we will get invites out in a couple weeks. Actually have a meeting with the Wharton Center on Wednesday to talk about graduation, but June 7th at 1 p.m. the Wharton Center, just like last year. So you're all invited. Hopefully y'all can make it, but Michelle will be reaching out for RSVPs just to make sure that we have an appropriate number of chairs on the stage. So June 7th, 1 p.m. at the Wharton. Hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are some past board members.
All right, speaking of athletic update, Mr. Coulson.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm good. I was actually gonna give Dr. Delp some kudos, but he kind of just left it all up to me. I was gonna say how collaborative we are and how we talk through things and help each other, and then I got stuck with the questions he didn't want to answer. And I was gonna say something about Mr. Armour too, but he decided to leave,
He's like,
so.
I'm a-
Yeah.
And then we go and hopefully we don't get into discussion mode and you read the letters that you get sent about me. I thought they might not be as good as Mr. Supinowski, so.
You're
We steer
good.
clear of all those
You are
things and
good.
we're good right now.
You are good.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing, with the question that we have is,
Yeah.
say that you take a dual enrollment class and your class ends beginning of May.
Yeah.
And you fail that class, there's no opportunity here in your number one for a student to make that grade up. Because it says if after 1 week they are failing the class, they will become ineligible until all grades are passing. Well, there's no opportunity for that grade to be a passing grade.
Correct.
So then there's-
And that, we would be getting the final grade, and as Dr. Delp said, there is some trade-offs, right? You went the
Yeah.
entire semester where that class necessarily didn't really count because we're not getting real-time updates, we don't have any of that information, it's kind of based upon, and some class structure, it might be, hey, we don't care when assignments due, just as long as it's final day, everything's in, and I'll grade it all. We can't control that either, in a sense. So you're kind of getting all that on the front side, and at the end in May, or if they end early in December, you don't get to make it up. You're failing. That was your period to do all that was, 18 weeks or the 17 weeks of the semester. Here's the last week. We've had a situation where that's happened, where we got those final grades back, and then that was the situation. There's nothing that can be done when it comes down to it, especially some of those classes that may be worth more credits than just one class. If they're worth 3 in some instances and you fail that, that's a state rule. There's nothing that we can do, work with the state says you have to be passing a certain percentage, and ours falls into you have to be passing 4 out of our 6 classes. If you're failing more than 2, you aren't eligible for the next semester if it's the final grade, if that makes sense.
So here it says, a student failing 3 classes is ineligible until the official eligibility check per the MHSA. And then on the back of this, it says, so first school begins, or the semester, first check will take place 6 weeks after the start of each semester. So kids basically have 6 weeks to.
Well, yes, and all this was brought about because as we make changes to make things better, then we have to kind of tweak some things that we did in the past to align with what we're having. So formative, summative. 6 weeks was kind of the marker because we talked about doing every 4. We've talked about doing 8, but then we wouldn't have as many checks and just kind of figuring it out. So 4 was the sweet spot, but then at the start of the year, you're getting in 4 weeks, you're getting to kind of when those first tests take place. And so that would be problematic as far as they haven't had time to do retakes, they haven't had time to get a real true, we haven't been able to see what that real true grade might be after the retake. So 6 weeks for each start of the semester was kind of that spot where we thought, talking to Dr. Bell, Mr. Armour, kind of, okay, you've taken the first real test, and now you've had your 10 days to make it up. Where are you sitting? Have you done what you're supposed to do? You've had your time to work it up. And then 4 weeks on from there, just gave us those systematic checks. So
I just want to make sure I'm understanding
Yep.
this correctly. So we could have all students were in August. All
Yep.
kids are in school, first day of school starts, 6 week period, we're gonna check all students.
yes,
If they're failing 3 classes, they are ineligible for at least another 4 weeks until we do another check.
correct.
Then if a student is failing 2 classes, they're ineligible for a minimum of 1 week.
Which is our current system.
Right, so are we checking at the end of that 1 week to see if they're,
Yeah, so
Or are we
we're
just-
we have to declare official checks for the state. So we can't just willy-nilly say, hey, this week, we're doing 2, we'll do every 2, and then the next week we'll do 1 because somebody's out that needs it. So our official checks, as we'd like to do it, is 6, and then every 4 weeks, that gets us to 18, which is roughly.
is that is a semester 18 weeks, or,
Yeah, yes.
yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roughly.
Yeah, roughly, give or take.
What we aim
just
for, you might get one at 17 or one at 19.
But that's where, I'm thinking 15, so,
So-
but
That's
college.
That's college course.
Okay. Been a long time since I've been in high school, so, okay.
So, we're declaring those weeks, but we're also still monitoring each week. We're
And
still
how
getting
things
a
are
grade report each week of all the students and letting coaches know, kids know, and so on and so on. So it's like, hey, it's coming up, here's where you're at. Hey, just talk to them, I know it's week 3, week 2, we don't have anything in, which is what we found. I mean, grades
Yeah.
really don't come in at the start of the semester until about that time period anyway. And then as the 6 week, if our 6 week mark is the first mark, we're really saying, hey, week 4, week 5, we're giving those grade reports each week that we pull and say, hey, this kid has this. Let them know.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. In week 6 is going to be the official check. Here's what's going to happen if these grades stay current. We check for all failures and then anything what we call borderline, which is a D or below, just because given the test, that D could quickly change to an F if it's done in that time frame. So we track Ds and then obviously failures we let kids know about.
So if a student is failing 3 classes, and for whatever reason,
Yep.
and after so you're checking at week 6, what happens if week 7 or 8, they've gotten their grades in or got assignments in and they're not failing? Do they still have to wait until that next
Correct.
4 week
Yes.
check?
Yep. Yes.
They've done that.
And what we found, again, is when that happens, you use more supports than
No,
supports.
direct, yeah.
That's kind of reserved for that situation. Hey, awesome, you got it up. Do we have everything in place? If it's at week 8, you have everything up. All right, you have 2 weeks to show that you have a plan in place, and this comes, your next grade check is coming in 10 weeks. Okay, now is everything to get you sustained, so it's not just a one-time thing. You just didn't get it all done once. Did you build somewhat of a plan to consistently stay eligible?
State. Does this happen a lot with our
Which
students?
one? Like three?
Like the 3 week, the
Three
three
is-
failing classes?
Yeah, 3 is
and the-
very rare. 3 is very rare. Does it happen? Sure, but for a variety of reasons.
Right.
2, and again, we saw more this year because of grading, because of
The
the
changes,
changes. And
yeah.
this was the first year that that it really was all in place, as Dr. Delp said. And what we saw is, again, some of those tests that came in, but when that's all there is, you hadn't retaken it and you're checking every week, we had to do a lot of conversations with the 3 of us, where the collaboration came in and talking about this is we kind of had to take each individual kid, talk to the teachers, and make sure that we weren't
Right.
forcing something that wasn't necessarily the kid's fault, it was the grade. So we had a lot of conversations and made sure that we could address it this year with the new policy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? I think that's, no. Anything else?
I'm good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I don't have
Alright.
anything else.
All right.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's, so because we have 18 weeks for our semester, dual enrollment students, and the longer it is, it's only 15 weeks, sometimes it's 12 weeks, sometimes it's even an 8-week course, so.
Right, and they're
There's
not,
that
they're not
gap.
able to, I mean, it's a college class. It's-
Yeah.
You're taking a college class, you pull up your
Yeah.
big girl pants, you're taking a college class, so.
Yeah, it is a
Um,
hard lesson to learn though, if you do not
yeah.
pass your class.
It is. It is. Figure that out now.
Yeah.
But you got some support
Well,
at
you know,
home.
I like, the route that we're going, that they have to show that this wasn't a one-time thing, that they have these processes in place to show that they are taking their grades first, and that they're able to sort that out, and then they can go back to playing once they can show that they have that consistent routine and plan set in place. All right, superintendent's report, upcoming presentations, Adam.
So upcoming events, as far as meetings go for the rest of the month, on the 18th is our next regular board meeting, and that will include the elementary and middle school education and handbook updates. On the 20th May, there's a finance and facilities committee meeting. Obviously, keep a close eye on the events calendar that Betsy had sent out previously. There's a lot going on during the month of May. Moving on to bond updates, softball, as we had talked about earlier, had their ribbon cutting. There's still a punch list of items that need to get completed throughout the facility until it's completely done, and the grass seeding still needs to occur. They tried to do it last Friday, but it was apparently still too wet, so that will hopefully be completed here in the near future. The HVAC project at the community pool started today, so they were out there doing a lot of welding and I guess starting to take apart the old system and then pulling that out. The crane lift to put the new system in with the hole in the roof, and that whole logistical undertaking is still scheduled for the first day after students are out for summer break.
Can they use the pool right now? Whether
No,
it's done.
So pool's closed from Friday through the middle of July. Explorer continues to still be on pace with focusing on grading and ground preparation, as I'm sure everybody saw earlier today. And design work is underway on the Explorer Circle, as well as the soon-to-be childcare and preschool wing of the elementary campus. Those are the highlights for superintendent's update this evening. Happy to address any questions.
Seeing none, board committee reports, policy, Dave?
We met last Monday. It was a pretty quick meeting. There's just a handful of policies for you to review in your packets. A lot of these were just minor bookkeeping changes, capitalization, swapping some things out. The major one that we did update was 50-30, non-discrimination, equal opportunity, or equal employment opportunity, excuse me. This is a rewrite from Troon, so you'll definitely want to spend a little bit more time on that, but it's going to bring everything much more consistent with current law.
the same stuff, just a different year.
Yes.
The big change last year was the special education funding formula. This year it's pretty status quo.
Yeah, if you do have questions and you want to make it out to the next ISOA meeting, there's a meeting on Wednesday and Jason will be going over this, so. It's in person though, so if you want to make that, it's at 8 AM on Wednesday. All right, board policies to revise and replace. Dave, did you want to take that?
Sure. Again, not a lot of major changes here. There's some capitalization. You will note that you did get a paper copy of the updated org chart. I believe there was a minor issue with that, but that's been corrected on the paper copy.
The difference between the one you got today and the one you have in front of you is just that this version, which was the version the policy committee saw, the assistant director of food service is shaded in to reflect that's part of the partnership with Hazlitt.
I have some things. And again, I guess I don't, it's not necessarily my role or our role as board members to get into the weeds of these things. However, I do think with my profession degree, working in this, this educational system, I would like to see under the Director of Student, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Director of Student Services, I'm assuming that that is where our special ed director will be. I believe our special ed director should have some oversight over our special ed paras and our special ed teachers. I do not believe that your average principal is able to have all knowledge of the little technical pieces that a special ed teacher might have to deal with. The best way I can give this example is, Chris and Sarah, and Deb, we have education degrees, we fall under an umbrella. I probably could supervise them on certain things and go into their room and do evaluations and give them advice and help them on certain things. If my kid was getting student of the month and I might be late, yeah, go to your principal and see if someone can fill in for an hour while you run to do that. If I need someone, however, I would not be able to do the job of the little intricate technical pieces that each one of you have. I didn't get your degree. I don't know that information. And I just don't believe, I do believe that the special ed director should kind of trump the principal when it comes to hiring, when it comes to having conversations about certain children, certain evaluation processes. Are there some principals that could pull it off? Yes. Can all of them or the majority of them? No. I just don't believe they can. I believe it makes it really tricky when you have a special ed director trying to make decisions what's best for their overall program. And if it becomes a battle with the principal or and then Adam has to intervene, I just feel that the special ed director should have final say over those paras and special ed teachers. That's one thing, or that's one piece of this. I also am not sure, we do have a curriculum director. I understand that's going to be a little different, but for the sake of this chart, is that something that needs to be added back into this chart to show that we do have that position? And then my third thing, and I feel very passionate about this, so if my voice gets loud and aggressive, that is not my intent. But I do not believe we owe anyone a job, ever. When I first got on this board a couple years in, we moved Adam into a curriculum position. I believe he had to interview for that, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And we moved, and I had this conversation with her, so I'm gonna use her name. We moved Kelly Campbell into the Explorer principal job. It was brought to the board just as a vote. There was no discussion, wait 2 weeks later and then do it. And I voted yes. I was so excited. I knew her, I worked with her, I knew her leadership style, I knew that building needed her, and that it was going to be a great success. The very next day, I was out in a district in our county, and I had someone say, oh, I heard Kelly got that job, that's gonna be great. I didn't know that you even had a posting. And a light bulb went off that we did not post that job, that she did not go through the process. There, you know, whether we wanted her to get it or not, you know, it's like she didn't really earn it, we just gave it to her. And what does that say to everybody else in our district? And we've done that to another administrator here. I opposed that, and I'm not talking about the person that gets these positions. I am talking about our process. We have a part-time, it was decided to pull the curriculum director piece out from the special ed director, so they're two different things. It was determined to make it a part-time position, and we just gave it to an administrator. This is not an add-on job, like we've had to have administrators do our Title IX stuff or 504 stuff or just other little pieces in our district. We are hiring someone to take over the piece that she's not going to be able to do. And I just believe if she wanted the job, she could have applied for it and gone through the same rigmarole that Adam Supanowski had to go through today. I think it sets a bad precedent, and I think it sends a very bad message. We have, I think, 3 administrative positions, and we have an internal candidate. I mean, Adam was an internal candidate, put in for that job. He still had to fill out a resume. He still had to do the application process. He still had to go through the rigmarole to get that job. And yet, we gave another administrator just another position. And if we had to vote on that, I would vote no. I would not just give a position to someone. I think it sets a bad precedent. I think I think for morale, it looks bad for us, and it is not something that I would encourage nor hope to do at another time. I mean, there's no point on here where we were having a discussion about that or to bring that up, so this was the only point that I could do that. But I will, as long as I continue to be on this board, I will never vote for a person just to move into a position. I do understand that it is, I do believe it, or I understand that it's different when we have a teacher that, you know, to keep them employed, we might need to move them from 3rd grade to 5th grade. I do get that move, but you know, some people would consider this a promotion, others consider it a lateral move. Either way, it should have been posted, and if anybody wanted that job, should have applied. So those are my concerns with the chart, and I mean, I'm not sure what if the policy committee even wants to take a backer look at it, or if it's something that wants to be considered about adding the special ed teachers and paras to that position. And I know there's nothing we can do about the other, but I would encourage all of you to remember this moment and not let that happen again. I'm off my soapbox now.
No, it's not a soapbox. Like you said, this was the first opportunity to have this conversation, and this is what it is. It's a discussion opportunity. And does anybody have anything else they wanted to say or ask?
Just a question. So in terms of moving special ed teachers and stuff on the org chart, it seems like that's not as simple as just updating an org chart. That's changing administrative policy, right?
I think that would be a much broader discussion in terms of how we do business besides above and beyond the organization chart.
Yeah, I do think it's certainly worth discussion. I make a lot of good points.
Well, and I don't
but-
think, this isn't new. I mean, when I worked here, like ultimately, our special ed director ultimately had say. I mean, I would also, I mean, if I was sitting in an interview and the special ed director and the principal was there, in this scenario, the principal would be able to trump the special ed director who they're gonna hire. I just don't know how that, if I was asking a technical question, that principal would have no idea whether I was correct or not. I mean, I could sit in an interview with Dave, I have a Google certification or whatever and can use a computer, but the minute he opens his mouth about tech stuff, I have no idea what he's even saying, whether he's telling the truth or is accurate or not. I just think if we want to get a really highly qualified person, that person needs to be able to have autonomy over those individuals. And I might be the only one that feels this way. You could, I mean, our special ed department might feel completely different, but our special ed director used to be in charge of the special ed, all of it. All of the teachers, all of the paras, all of the auxiliary staff, and that's not to say that there weren't times where a principal might evaluate me. There might also be times where the special ed director would need to go in and do an evaluation of a teacher. So I think it's something to look at, but
I think that also brings up a broader discussion even further than that though, because I would think, again, I am not a special ed person, but I would think that special ed director would also have paras under them because they're having those evaluations, conversations, and trainings for those paras that we just put in place, that they need to have at least 20 hours of training in place. So I think that it's much bigger than what you're just even throwing out.
yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that they have to work together, and there's no doubt that their say. It's just kind of like, it just seems like, you know, if something's going on and you have the special ed director and the principal kind of talking or whatever, I get there's gonna be some give and take and who's gonna, you know, whatever is going to be decided in the situation. I just feel that ultimately the special ed director should, I mean, if we had, you know, I don't even know, say we have 5 special ed teachers down at Discovery and 5 special ed teachers at Explorer, and we have a whole bunch of people moving to Explorer. I mean, principals want to keep their staff, and so they're not going to want to let a special ed teacher go to Explorer, but then that means Explorer teachers got, you know, huge caseloads where Discovery, you know, there's some of that play too. Like, as special ed directors might just have to say, we have to move you. Like, I need someone over here. And there's just all kinds of little nuances that go along with it. And
So I guess
just
what
think it makes it harder.
you're saying is you're maybe requesting that there be a deeper conversation into this, whether it's at policy or I don't even know what other.
I would request that this go back to the policy committee, maybe do some investigation, or, I mean, just review it, I guess, to see if adding those 2 subgroups under the special ed director. I mean, we are trying to hire a special ed director. I talked to not anyone, I mean, I know one person who applied for the job. I don't know anyone else who applied for the job. I'm not gonna reach out to them. I did talk to some special ed directors within the ISD, and, you know, some of them are like, that's not necessarily how it's done, or that's not, like, someone has to have kind of the autonomy over the group. And I don't know if I would take a special ed position if I'm not over the special ed teachers or the paras. Like, I need to be able to have some flexibility in working with them in what I believe is determined or what's happening.
To me, this chart is implying a joint decision, or a joint process, but.
There is a line. There is a line
There is a
between the
line.
director and the building principal.
There is, but again, who trumps who in that? I mean, if I'm reading this chart, I would think that the building principal is the one that has the ultimate say over those teachers, those special ed teachers.
I think that when you look down, like the down line is that the support staff, parapros and lunch aides do fall under the building principals.
But I'm looking at that joint line that's going down to auxiliary staff. And-
The line that goes to the left, that goes to building principals.
Well, the line goes from building principal to, I mean, I'm looking at this as the building principal will also have autonomy over the auxiliary staff and the district mental health specialist. I don't see where this director of student support
Not looking at that.
has anyone, like, over the,
You're looking at Director of Student Services
Yes.
going over to the building.
Well, I thought like they had authority over ancillary staff and the district mental health specialist.
right, I wouldn't see that the building principal, I mean, are you looking at it, the building principal then reports to the director of student services?
No, I'm saying, it looks, when I reviewed this chart, I thought the director of student services would be in charge of the ancillary staff and the district mental health specialist, and they may have joint decisions on everything under building principals because of that. I guess which, like, is it different if the line looks more like the line between central office secretary and director of finance? That's, I thought it was joint because the line.
The way it works now is that, as you were saying, Amanda, the Director of Student Services, we're looking at it from an evaluation standpoint, evaluates the ancillary staff and the district mental health
Yeah.
specialist, and the special education staff is a joint process, but the principal is the evaluator, in consultation with the special education director.
Yeah. Okay. It seems to be different than what you're saying.
But then, do building principals have the final say as to where staff will go?
No, they never have the final say
No, I
where
mean,
staff go.
like saying this para, you're gonna be working in this classroom today, like, is that?
Yeah, at that level, yes.
Yes,
they
so
would.
then the special ed director does not tell the paras what classroom or teacher they're going to be working with.
On a given day or like for their actual schedule? I mean, the special education director is gonna work in consultation with the principals to assign special education staff, both teachers and paras. And then at that point, if they're managed on a daily basis by the principal, there always are times where a staffing change needs to take place that'll affect multiple buildings. And then the special education director would work in consultation with the principal to make those decisions. If it gets to a point where they're in an obstacle they can't overcome, right? They're differing of opinions, and ultimately that would come back to me to break that tie or whatever, for lack of a better term.
So then, who would ultimately be the one to evaluate
Which position?
the para pros,
The building principal.
the building principal?
That
So I guess I
evaluation-
feel like, and again, you as a principal, some of our principals that we have now, evaluating a parapro in that situation probably would do just fine. However, there are some principals that do not know the characteristics of ASD students, cognitively impaired students, emotionally impaired students, LD students. I mean, there's a whole variety of them. So a teacher might have a particular interaction that a building principal would say, that's absolutely not appropriate. Now, if that happened to me, and it has, I have no problem explaining what I do, why I do, when I did it, and can standing by it and can pack that up. I don't know what our special ed staff looks like right now. Do we have, I mean, I'm hearing we have some young teachers, we gotta give them, a little bit more support. So does that principal know what that teacher is doing and why they're doing it?
I think
And
what
again,
you're
I
bringing
get,
up is-
I mean, I know Adam and I have had this conversation, and Adam has said, I evaluated teachers that didn't speak English. Again, that's Adam. I mean, and I mean this as a compliment. I think you have an ability to be able to do that. Not all principals can.
I think the
Again,
complexity with special ed is that you have the instructional components, and on the other hand, you have these paperwork components, and the compliance paperwork and legal work. And that is where I think probably is most common, that a principal is not going to have a mastery of those processes and timelines and all the different things that have to go into an IEP. And that's where you kind of get the paperwork, legal, compliance side of the house, and then you get the instructional piece, you get the professional characteristics, the interactions with staff, parents, and students. The principal is going to see that on a daily basis. Special education director is going to be in a better position to understand, how they're doing on the compliance paperwork, setting up IPs, those types of things. And so it is a collaborative process. I would agree with Nancy. I think there's opportunities for improvement there in terms of how principals interface with the director and coming up with those holistic and accurate evaluations of our both our pairs and our teachers. So I think there's some opportunity there. I feel comfortable with the model we have, but there's always room for improvement and fine tuning as far as what that looks like in practice.
But as of right now, building principal does the trainings for our paras, correct?
They do, in
And is-
consultation with the
Okay.
special education director.
So is that going to be the same moving forward?
So there's changes in leadership, and I think some of those more granular details in terms of how that works in practice will evolve over the next several months as we bring in a new leadership into that role and kind of get our feet under us in terms of what that could look like. Also have some changes in principal level building leadership too. So I think that's something that can evolve. And I think we'll probably know more in a few months in terms of what that might look like for next year once all those pieces are in place.
Because I think what Nancy is saying is, in all due respect, we have principals in place that are highly qualified, that do very well in their principal role. However, in respect to specialties, as far as special ed goes, like I said, I can be a great educator. I know I'm a great educator, but I do not know special education. Just like Nancy is an excellent early childhood educator, and knows special education, but might not be a great high school principal like Deb was. So I think that is where Nancy is.
I also think there's just been some missteps and misinformation. So you have a family that has a special ed kid or needs testing or whatever. They're meeting with our principals, and our principals don't have the knowledge and have not been given out the correct knowledge to be able to direct that parent and where they need to go and how they need to muddle through the special ed world. And we all know it's caused some upset. And I think, that principal might need to say, listen, how about if we make an appointment with our special ed director and she can help us muddle through this. Again, our staff is young. The information they're giving and what they're doing hasn't always been correct, and it's gotten us into some sticky situations. And I think, when you have a principal that has their professional development that they want done, when they want their whole building at, or staff meetings that they want their whole building lab, that doesn't leave any other time for that special ed director to do some of that educating and training for parents or teachers. And I think I agree there has to be more collaboration than what we're seeing, and more education than what we're seeing. And I just being someone who's in that spot, being a special ed teacher where you're under a principal and under a special ed director, you figure it out really quickly who do you go for what question and where you need to be and who you need to. That doesn't mean you're not informing your principal of this situation with this kid, and you're not informing your special ed director of this situation with this kid. But it just ultimately, I just feel that it should be over the special ed director. It just seems to make more sense to me, but that's just where I am. I feel like we're gonna have a couple years where we're gonna be, you know, Adam is not gonna be here forever, and he'll be leaving, and we'll have a new person into this position, and we'll have younger and younger staff, and I just feel like having something set up that, on how we're kind of doing things and working just seems to make more sense, to me, but that's just my opinion, so.
So you just had a policy meeting on the 27th. Is there another policy meeting scheduled for this year? Or thinking that you will have?
There'll be one in the summer, I just don't know when yet.
You have a request from Nancy and from me to look into this, have more discussion around it.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have any other questions regarding either this or other policies that?
I don't have a question about being on the policy committee. If that comes before us, I would want to know more about these sticky situations of which I know nothing about.
Yes. You can reach out to Nancy.
Well, sure.
Yeah. All right, and then the next is,
Okay.
sorry.
Chris is saying I know them, I'm just not, it's not
Okay,
thinking.
yeah. Any discussion around policies to rewrite? Okay. Hearing none, we did have a leave request. This is an employment, this is obviously an employee, so it's employment issues. If you have any questions, please reach out to Adam, and he'll be more than happy to walk you through this. But you have a memo in your board book. And then the memorial plaque request. Do you have any other information on this you would like?
Phoebe Crabtree, as it says in the letter the board received, was for many, many decades a volunteer that supported our theater production department and has countless hours to the performing arts programs at the high school. So her daughter is asking that a small memorial plaque be posted near the costume shop in that wing of the high school. In keeping with our board policy, I feel like this would be an appropriate gesture by the board. It does meet with existing board policy in terms of doing that. Obviously, it's your prerogative as to whether or not you'd want to support the request.
So this does give us the ability to have a small plaque.
So it's
Size
the
ours.
policy 9351-R follows the letter for your reference, and if you look down at the very last sentence, which
Yep.
is number 4, permanent indoor memorial such as a plaque or painting upon the approval by the board. So the board has the prerogative to approve this if you choose to do so.
I don't want to make it sound like they already know how we're going to vote or anything. I don't even know how we're going to vote, but do you know if this plaque is already made or it will be made after a decision is made?
I don't know if it's been made. I believe the requester understands it needs to go to the board for approval.
Okay, I would ask that maybe there be a change made to the sentence. Instead of for the last 39 years, you could just say for 39 years.
Makes sense.
Can you repeat,
say what?
wait, can you repeat that?
Instead of for the last
Yeah,
39
it
years.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Oh, for the last.
So instead of it saying for the last 39 years, it would just say the Department of Community of Williamston for 39 years.
Okay.
Just take out the last. Just because it's going to be there for a while.
Yes, it is.
So-
Makes sense.
Would it be better just to name the room, like the
That's a more complicated
more complicated
process
than
when
this?
the board wants to name something after somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not name it, but just have a plaque
A
with her
plaque.
name and like like 7 by 9. How big is that?
I was gonna say, is this?
I mean, is all this gonna fit?
It's pretty small. I mean, it's pretty small. It's a, it's gonna be smaller.
Right, so is all that
It'll
gonna
be
fit?
smaller than what you see on the back wall there.
Yeah.
But if you're walking into the room, you would see it.
Right.
And it's a, it's a modest request, I would
Right.
say. They're not looking for anything grandiose.
She's, I mean, she has been here forever and the work, I don't know if any of you were able to see I believe she did costumes for the Shrek, correct?
That was her last.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you saw those, especially the character who played, or the young man who played the minister or priest at the very end in his massive thing.
Yeah.
I asked where they got the so because sometimes they rent them or buy them, and she like made that whole thing, and I was like, I mean, I don't know how old she was at that point, but
She took great pride.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with her before, and she took
I mean,
great
she's
pride in
helped.
doing it.
It's absolutely deserved. She's helped and done this stuff for free, and is going to be a great loss to not only just our band program, but that group. So. Yeah.
All right, so with no objection, we will move this to action at our next board meeting. All right, this comes to
Wait,
action.
does it move forward with suggested amended language on the plaque, or how?
We can just have, Adam can just.
I'll
reach out to her.
contact,
Okay.
Are we,
Just don't want to be presented. as the
Yeah.
same, yeah.
and then who, does it say on here who's paying for that? Like,
Oh, that's a question.
It's not us, so I think it would be something the family would donate and we
Okay,
would
let's make
post.
sure that
Okay.
that is also.
If we did pay for it though, that plaque is probably a $40 item.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
then.
But, I'll verify.
Yeah, be more than willing to
Let's not
pay the
have that be a
$40.
barrier.
Right.
Thank you. All right, can I please have a motion for approval of the minutes at a regularly held board meeting?
Move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on April 13th, 2026 as presented.
Motion by Dave, second by Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We do have some roll call items. Can I get a motion to approve administrative at-will and non-collective bargaining employee salary schedule?
Make a motion that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education approve the administrative salary schedule as recommended.
Second.
Motion by Chris, second by Dave. Any discussion? Please take us through roll call, Deb.
Chris,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Deborah, yes, Heather,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Can I please get a motion to approve purchase for Chromebooks and licenses?
Move
Chris,
that-
oh, sorry.
We need
I
a
was
motion
ready.
first, Deb.
I was
Go
ready.
ahead, Dave.
Move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education approve the purchase of 184 Chromebooks and licenses. The cost will not exceed $65,000 with funds coming from the 2025-26 technology equipment budget.
Second?
Motion by Dave, second by Chris. Any discussion? Now please take us through roll call, Deb.
Okay, Chris,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Deborah, yes, Heather,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
and Sarah.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We have one separate action item. Can I get approval for the 2026-2027 regular board meeting dates?
Make a motion that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education approve the dates for its 2026-2027 regular meetings as presented.
Second.
Motion by Chris, second by Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Review of board goals. We did not have any correspondence. This brings us to our last opportunity, or second opportunity for citizen comments. Are there any citizens that would like to address the board? Come up to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. Hello. Good evening.
Lisa Persenio, teacher at Explorer, co-president of the WA.
Address 416 Highland Street. Not really, room 14, because I feel like I live there, but do I have to tell you my actual, like, on people? No? Okay, good. I just wanted to say on behalf of teachers, I did get my blanket today. My son and I opened it up, both went, ooh, it's soft. And he's currently sleeping under it right now, waiting for me to be done and take him home, so thank you. This is just saying thank you. We appreciate the appreciation. Even though we haven't had the food yet, we appreciate the fact that at one point this week, we will not have to remember lunch. Or we will have forgotten that we don't have to remember lunch, so we'll already have our lunch for the next day brought with us. So we do appreciate all you guys do, the time that you take. We know it's not an easy job, so thank you for appreciating us, and thank you for the cozy soft blanket that I'm gonna have to fight my child for. And that was it. Thanks.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I probably will lose. Thank you, Lisa. We will see you at some point this week. Any other citizens that would like to address the board? All right, seeing none. Board member reports and requests.
I just
Yes.
want to mention that I spent all day Friday and half of Saturday attending the Spring Institute for MASB. So I took collaborative conversations for effective decision-making, CBA 365, advanced community relations, CBA 246, and leading with purpose, advanced leadership for school board members. So got some good ideas, and I thought it was really worthwhile. They do a nice job.
Good, yeah, MASB does a really nice job. I'm glad you were able to attend. Amanda?
A while ago, Adam had recommended this book called The Amazing Generation. I don't know, so I just want to say everyone should recommend it to any preteens or any young people that you have, anybody that you love who is young. It was amazing. I'm making all of my nieces and nephews read it. So thank you for
There's
sharing
also
that.
another book. What's it, The Awesome Generation? What's it?
There's
I think that's the one you're
Yeah.
recommending,
Oh,
you're bringing
is
up,
that
right?
the, okay.
And then there's one before that, but I think an adult, any adult, like,
Yeah.
should also, it would be great
Yes,
for,
I
it's
got
great
it.
information,
Yes,
yes.
there's so many statistics and it's just, it's so.
Scary.
It's scary, it's really scary, yeah, but it's a great thing, especially for the adult to read and then the kid to read.
Yeah.
It's very kid-friendly, it's,
Yeah.
it's like a
Oh,
graphic
yes,
novel.
you're talking about that,
Yeah,
yeah.
but just amazing, really a game changer, I thought, so thanks for sharing that. But secondly, I thought maybe I'd stall some conversation when we get to graduation. I'm having my knee replaced on May 20th, so I don't know what kind of shape I'm gonna be in, but probably not good. So I just thought it'd be easier to tell you now instead of having questions from everyone. And I know that's gonna affect how I'm getting across the stage. I don't remember if there's a handicap ramp up to the stage. I don't.
There is a ramp on the
Yes.
The other
side.
Yes.
side?
You'll
Yeah,
probably-
we always go up steps.
No.
In the back, there's a ramp, because that's how band
There's a
members
ramp.
get stuff up, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you should be okay, it takes you right onto the stage from there.
Okay.
But we'll,
You have a graduate too,
Yes.
don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes. So it'll be.
You'll be there.
yeah.
We'll make sure.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know what shape I'm in, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll make sure that we give you extra time to get over.
To give your
before
diploma.
their
yeah,
next
we're
off.
gonna do choreograph that, but
Yes.
I'll reach out to Dr. Golden.
Okay.
First in line.
Michelle, and talk about that. Yeah, maybe be
We have-
closer.
Do we have any past board members also that have
Yes.
seniors?
We have
Right.
two,
Two?
We have to.
And then wow,
we have a lot of.
We have
this is
five.
gonna be a
There's
lot of
five of us.
people.
it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
And I know this isn't discussion,
Who are the past board members?
Joel Gehring and Greg
Greg.
Talberg. This will be a little bit different this year, and I'm trying not to make this a discussion. However, board members, the chairs are moved back, and we will not be, unless you have a graduate, we will not be stepping forward to shake hands. The only people that will be shaking hands are if board members have a graduate, they will go up and hand their diploma and do all that. The only people besides that are the assistant principal
Your chairs will be in the same spot.
Yes,
It's
they'll
just
be in
that
the
when
same spot, but
everybody
you know,
moves
it
up,
just
you
gets
don't have to do that
cumbersome
part.
If there's like 20 people that people have to shake, and it's really about the student, we wanna make sure that the student is forward facing in this and not shaking of all the hands. So we are staying in our seats, we're standing and we're clapping, obviously, but the only people that will be stepping forward is if you have a board member graduating, or the, principal, would you be going forward? Adam and Chris?
The assistant principal.
It's me, the principals, the high school administration, and myself.
Yeah.
I think that's our.
So can
plan.
I just want a clarification. So if you have a graduate,
Yes.
you can stand and shake hands.
Yes.
But for me, I get to just sit back and watch.
Yeah.
But, so
Sweet.
my understanding is, if you have a graduate, you're gonna go forward and give the diploma to
Correct.
your graduate.
Yes. Yes,
For the
that's your
rest,
special
for the
moment
rest
as a
of
board
the
member.
students, again, we can change this, it's your ceremony, but for the rest of the graduates, the board will stay standing seated, but you just won't shake hands.
Yeah.
And the idea, I think the idea was to kind of help streamline getting the kids across the stage, and they really don't want to shake so
Yeah.
many hands, it was kind of the feedback I think we
Yeah.
heard last year.
Again, it should be about them and their
Who gave that
moment
feedback?
instead of just shaking everybody's hand.
Well,
so.
board members and
Oh.
I think some
I
of the
didn't, I never,
kids,
it
so.
never bothered me at all. So, this is the first I've ever heard of that
I-
we're changing it, so
So
it's kind
I-
of like, oh.
I don't know if we want to open this up to discuss, I mean, or,
Okay.
well, here's the thing. For me, I will be very honest, when the first year that this was done, Jeff Tanis was principal, this is what he did at his other school, and this is kind of how I feel like every principal comes with a little bit from the school that they came from and brings a little bit. I knew every one of those kids that graduated because it was my daughter's class. So, being able to get a picture with them, hug them, say hello, was really important and special to me. I mean, we don't get paid, we don't get fanfare. So I think it would be nice, because I got that experience and knew how important it was to me, that if you have a graduate, that the three of you can stand and shake hands and the rest of us sit. I know that would just be my opinion, because I've done it.
I agree, like, there's so many kids that I want to
Right.
help.
I mean, I've done it, and it,
Do you want to put this
So-
on for discussion?
Yeah, I think we need.
sorry. It just was a really nice moment, so I don't want them.
We'll make it go however you all want to make it work, but maybe it's something we talk through next
Yeah.
meeting and.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe
even
we can
having
decide.
4 of us, I mean, this is a big class. I mean, this probably won't happen
But
again.
I would, yeah, let's put it on.
Yeah.
But it might look strange if only
That's-
3 of us stand up.
Yeah, yeah.
Too.
Yeah, but if you go to again, let's
Yeah,
have a
we'll talk about
discussion. And remind me that I was gonna say something about that.
And you're
College
not.
graduation, that'll be your flag, because I won't remember.
That's not about
I have a couple
graduation.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I should write it down somewhere. I have a couple things, if I can go. First, I would like to, today was very nice, Adam, it was lovely, it was fun to, to be out there and, dig in the dirt and just see all the progress and everything. And Sarah, you did a beautiful job on your speech. I know I say this all the time, but I also would like to just make sure we continue to thank Adam and Brandon and Sarah. This is such a massive production and project that, I mean, there's been so much work done before even the vote happened, and so much work that is being done after the vote happened, and they still have full-time jobs to do. So I just think we need to, every chance we get, to appreciate them. I also think we need to give a shout out, and I know they're not here, but to Adam's wife and Brandon's wife. When you think about getting some of the calls that we get from Adam on weekends, where some water main breaks or all of those little things, that they should be with their family on the weekend, not doing school stuff, and the amount of school stuff that they do. I mean, I don't think Brandon's been able to, or Adam has been able to take a vacation. I'm not sure Sarah's been able to take a vacation when I haven't called. Well, I have also sent you a text super early or super late, and she then calls me, and I'm like, what are you doing? So all 3 of you, I for whoever's at home for you, I think we owe them, because you guys would not be successful without those people at home. So I think we do owe them a gratitude. So I appreciate it. The other thing is I sit on a committee at MASB, and we were there last week or the week before, and there is real concern about the ruling that came across with the 31 AA money and how, they put conditions on that money. I get that they were unconstitutional. Didn't seem like the courts cared about that. And there is great concern about the possibility of more money coming in with more restrictions, because that was kind of precedent setting. So I don't know what we can do about that or anything, but I do know MASB is concerned about that. And I'm just passing that along, that was not a win in our favor, so. And it was a significant amount of money and for good reason, I wouldn't take it. I'm not putting our staff in that situation at all. I don't think it's okay. But there, if you have a line to a legislator, I would make some calls and voice your opinions.
Adam and I have talked about that. Maybe if this board, maybe we would have a discussion at the next board meeting about the possibility of maybe putting together a resolution to send to our legislatures. That might be something that this board could at least have a discussion around at the next meeting.
Any telephone call too.
Yes.
I just think we have to be
Absolutely.
proactive for our staff.
All right, the last, I'm sorry, I don't want to speak from anybody. Does anybody else have anything else? I heard the golf outing was
Oh, the
very
golf outing was
successful.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody that came out and either played or volunteered, contributed. Great success.
And then I just have a request. I thought that it was really nicely laid out, Dr. Delp in his presentation, as far as how many students are doing, talent center, enrollment, all that stuff. I would like to see, how many students are taking advanced placement. I know we usually get something, maybe about every year or so, but I think that would be nice to see where that falls.
And can I add on to that, like what AP classes we're offering? Like, are we still offering the same variety? And I guess also when can kids take them as freshmen? Can you take like AP, I don't know, would it be history maybe? Or, I mean, can freshmen take them or sophomore, like,
Yeah.
how?
The big freshman one is A-Push, that we added that
Yeah.
2 years ago, and our kids crushed it. There was a lot of skepticisms about whether they would do well when they did really well. Now, we'll see how they do this year.
Yeah.
It'll be year 2. That's
Yeah.
the big freshman AP course. AP Computer Science Principles is another one that students can take typically as a sophomore. But I don't think we had enough interest to run that next year. That'll be the first time we haven't ran it in a long time. But yeah, I'll ask Dr. Duff to
Yeah.
get some data for you on that.
And I bet there's a correlation between the honor social studies and in 8th grade, those students that do that and then go on to do AP. There might be some correlation there. All right, anything else? All right, thank you all. I know it was a long meeting. I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Amanda enthusiastically, second by Deb.